Hello and welcome back to another lazy lesson. Yet another peace plan has been proposed to the conflict of Israel and Palestine. But this time the peace plan, which is called as the Middle East peace plan, has been proposed by the US. So in today's discussion, we shall understand the conflict between Israel and Palestine, what is the peace plan all about, its implications, significance, and what is the way out. But wait, before going further to understand the conflict, let us try to locate these countries on the map. On the eastern side of the Mediterranean Sea, we have Israel. It is bordered by Lebanon to the north, Syria and Jordan to the east, and Egypt to the south. And it has Negev desert in the southern region. And the Sea of Galilee, also called as Lake Kinneret or the Sea of Tiberias, is a major freshwater supply. Here, the Jordan River also flows through the Dead Sea. And please note here that the Dead Sea is 1300 feet below sea level, so it has no outlet. And most importantly, on the southern side of the Negev desert, we have Gulf of Aqaba. So I hope you are all clear with the location of Israel now. So let us now come back to the main topic, that is, what is the conflict between Israel and Palestine? First of all, for us to understand the conflict, we need to understand how Israel became a country. During the 17th and 18th century, social and political developments in Europe convinced Jews that they needed their own country. So, between 1896 and 1948, hundreds of thousands of Jews resettled from Europe to what was then British-controlled Palestine. But the local Arabs who had settled in Palestine did not welcome them. They saw the influx of Jews as a European colonial movement, and the two people fought very bitterly. And thus, the conflict began. So in this regard, the first response came from the United Nations in 1947, which recommended splitting Palestine into two separate Jewish and Arab states, one for the refugees and one for the localites. And following this, in 1948, Israel declared independence, and this led to the first Arab-Israeli war. And during this war, the Gaza Strip was created and most of the Palestine region was annexed. And the next major event took place in the year 1967, which is called as a 6-day war. During the course of this war, Israel took control of many places including Gaza Strip. Well, please note here that the Gaza Strip is a self-governing Palestinian territory on the eastern coast of the Mediterranean Sea. This Gaza, along with the West Bank, are claimed by the state of Palestine. And following this, in 1993, both Palestine and Israel signed a Declaration of Principles in Washington. This is called as Oslo Accord. As per this agreement, the Palestinian Liberation Organization was recognized by Israel and given some powers in Gaza. And eventually, the PLO recognized Israel's right to exist. And this agreement helped in ending violence to some extent. And the 1967 war is particularly important for today's conflict. It is because it left Israel in control of the West Bank and Gaza Strip. These two territories are home to large Palestinian populations. And today, the West Bank is nominally controlled by the Palestinian Authority and is under Israeli occupation in reality. On the other hand, Gaza is controlled by the Hamas. They are an Islamist fundamentalist party. Now, how does the world feel about Israel-Palestine conflict and who recognizes what? Here, the world is divided into two different groups. One is non-Muslim countries and the other one is Muslim countries. Non-Muslim countries here recognize Israel's legitimacy and maintain diplomatic relations with it. At the same time, more than 120 countries recognize the existence of Palestine as a separate nation. And also, Israel is extremely unpopular worldwide. According to BBC poll of 22 countries, Israel was the fourth most disliked nation. It was behind Iran, Pakistan and North Korea. And also note here that at the United Nations, Palestine is given an observer status, not a country status. Let us now come back to the main topic today, that is the announcement of Middle East peace plan by the US President Donald Trump. So first of all, it proposes an independent Palestinian state and the recognition of Israel sovereignty over West Bank settlements. As per this plan, Israel would be allowed to annex the Jewish settlements on the West Bank as well as the Jordan Valley. Here on the map you have West Bank and Jordan Valley. And also note the location of Golan Heights here. And the third provision in the plan is the Palestinian refugees who were forced out from their homes during the 1948 Arab-Israel war that followed the declaration of the state of Israel in historic Palestine would not be allowed to return. However, they could move to the future Palestinian state. Next, the plan also proposes some land swap for the Israeli annexation of the West Bank Jewish settlements. It seeks to enlarge the Gaza and connect the strip with the West Bank through a tunnel. And above all, US has also proposed $50 billion investments over a period of 10 years. And the US claims that in the final settlement, Palestine would get control over more land than what it is currently holding. And the most important announcement here is that Jerusalem would remain the undivided capital of Israel. So what are the key issues involved here? See, the first one is the status of Jerusalem. This holy place is sacred to three religions, that is Judaism, Islam and Christianity. So all of them lay claim over this region. So the announcement that Jerusalem would remain the undivided capital of Israel is opposed by the Palestine. Next, it is also hard to establish a mutually agreed border between Israel and Palestine because the settlements are scattered and not uniform. Third important thing is, it is hard to find security arrangements to satisfy Israel's fear of attacks by Palestinians and hostile neighbors. Here, hostile neighbors include Jordan, Egypt and other Arab nations. Third, the plan has also failed to address the demand for statehood in territory, that is the West Bank, Gaza Strip and East Jerusalem captured by Israel in the 1967 Middle East War. Besides, it fails to address the plight of millions of Palestinian refugees. The plan also has no arrangements to share natural resources such as water. So unless these issues are addressed and solved, there can be no peace plan. And precisely this is why the Palestinians have called this peace plan as a conspiracy. And the timing of this peace plan is also very interesting. Critics mainly say that both Trump and Netanyahu are intent of diverting attention away from the domestic troubles. In the US, President Donald Trump is facing impeachment proceedings, whereas Netanyahu was indicted on corruption charges in November. Both deny wrongdoing, however. And more importantly, they both face re-election campaigns, Netanyahu in March 2020 and Trump in November 2020. So what are the chances of being successful for this plan? Very less, say critics. See, the last Israeli-Palestinian peace talks collapsed in 2014. The obstacles here include the expansions of Israeli settlements on occupied land over decades and generations of mutual suspicion. Here, Palestinians and most of the international community view the settlements as illegal under international law. Besides, Hamas have also come to prominence in Gaza Strip in last 2 decades. So what is India's response now? See, firstly, India recognizes Palestine as a separate state. So it has urged both Israel and Palestine to engage with each other, including on the recent proposals put forward by the United States, and find an acceptable two-state solution for the peaceful coexistence.